Hi everyone, Sam Alexander here from the Simplicity Institute. Today I'm happy to be launching a series of talks called Ecological Civilization, Beyond Consumerism and the Growth Economy. I'll be uploading presentations as they are produced over coming weeks, and they'll all be freely available on YouTube and the Simplicity Institute website. If the title piques your interest, please like and subscribe so you are notified as new presentations are released. In this introduction, I'd like to provide a brief overview of the series, who it is for, and what you can expect. Let me begin by sharing a few words on my background. Over the last 10 years, I've been a lecturer at the University of Melbourne, Australia, where I've been teaching a course called Consumerism and the Growth Economy into the Master of Environment. During that time, I've also been a research fellow with the Melbourne Sustainable Society Institute, and I'm currently co-director of the Simplicity Institute. I've written books and essays on themes related to consumerism, post-growth economics, renewable energy, permaculture, appropriate technology, and environmental politics. I'm very glad to now have this opportunity to present this new series, which I've developed specifically for this online platform in the hope of engaging a new audience of students, activists, academics, and concerned citizens. In this series, I'm going to grapple with what I think are some of the most important and challenging issues of our time. I begin by taking a global perspective and acknowledge that 8 billion human beings, as well as millions of other species, desire to live a good life on this beautiful pale blue dot we call Earth. We inhabit this planet together and share the ecological life support systems, but it's clear that the material and energy demands of global industrial civilization are exceeding sustainable levels, as evidenced by the range of acute environmental problems we face today. But even though the global economy is in significant ecological overshoot, we also know that billions of people around the world are under-consuming by any humane standard. So our collective challenge this century is to somehow ensure that everyone has access to enough to live a full and dignified life, while at the same time reducing the overall burdens that the global economy is placing on planetary ecosystems. How can this be achieved? Well, it won't be achieved if the richest nations and the most affluent cultures continue growing their economies and increasing their material living standards without limit. And there is no way to globalize consumer lifestyles to 8 or 9 or 10 billion people in a sustainable way. So we need to reimagine progress beyond consumerism and beyond the growth economy. I'll be proposing an alternative paradigm based on sufficiency, where the vision would be enough for everyone rather than today's reality of unsustainable affluence for a minority. These central questions could be rephrased as follows. Can the human species live well within the sustainable limits of our finite planet? What would such an ecological civilization look like? And perhaps most importantly, what can we do practically to help build such a way of life, both personally and politically? I'm inviting you to ask these questions with me, and I'd like to proceed with neither false hope nor debilitating gloom. Let's take the time to ask these questions seriously and with radical honesty, in the hope of trying to understand as clearly as possible the human situation at this turbulent moment in history. Of course, you don't need me to tell you that we are living in an age of overlapping environmental, economic, social, and political crises. That much is pretty obvious, and in this series I'll assume you are already well informed about the troubles we face. What is less obvious, however, is this. How can we turn the crises of our time into an opportunity to create new and better ways of living? Why has the environmental movement struggled to achieve its sustainability goals to date? And how can we find meaning and fulfillment in the great and necessary transition to an ecological civilization? In that spirit of defiant positivity, this series will be addressing a range of key themes and issues. We'll examine and update the limits to growth position, which maintains that growth-based economies are unsustainable. Upon that basis, we'll explore the theory and practice of post-growth, steady-state and degrowth economics, addressing both the environmental and the social justice dimensions. We'll consider whether or to what extent technology can solve our environmental and social crises, asking when can technology help? When is it a distraction? When can it do more harm than good? We'll analyse the prospects of transitioning to 100% renewable energy, and I'll review the evidence and arguments which indicate that a successful transition is probably going to require reduced energy demand, not just greening supply, at least in the most industrialised societies. I'll also review a range of social movements, from prefigurative movements like permaculture, eco-villages, and peer-to-peer sharing networks, to movements of resistance and direct action like Extinction Rebellion. In doing so, we can assess these and other movements through the lens of social, political, and economic theory, including the frameworks of post-capitalism, eco-socialism, and eco-anarchism. As well as examining the social and cultural foundations of our crises and the available strategies for change from the grassroots up, we'll also engage complex questions about political and systemic change from the top down. Is sustainable capitalism a coherent notion? What would a real Green New Deal look like? These questions will involve considering a range of bold policy ideas, including post-growth measures of progress, universal basic services, policies for deep decarbonisation, changes in land governance, and much, much more. We'll also assess the very real obstacles that lie in the way of structural change. Other presentations will seek to envision the range of future scenarios that lie ahead. I hope this helps guide action in building the positive, sustainable, and equitable futures we all desire, and outlines ways to prepare for or avoid the range of catastrophic futures that are threatening us today. My goal in all of this is to engage people who are wanting to think seriously about the state of human society in the 21st century, and who are open to examining or re-examining ideas and perspectives that might at times be confronting. I'll certainly be sharing some challenging and controversial ideas, including some ideas that don't get much attention in mainstream media or even in universities. So all I ask of you is that you come to each presentation with an open and critical mind. Together, let's try to imagine what alternative forms of civilization are possible, and just as importantly, how we might be able to build a better, more sustainable, and more humane society through evidence-based thinking, collective action, and creativity. So this series isn't just an intellectual exercise. Each presentation is designed to have practical, real-world relevance and application, and I hope to offer some insight into the world we live in and share some ideas for taking positive and well-informed strategic action. I'll be reviewing the best evidence I can find, sharing ideas, discussing theories, posing questions, and trying to provoke thought, always in the hope that you take these analyses and build upon them in your own way, in your own context, driven by your own passions, interests, insights, and critical thinking. As you move your way through the series, I encourage you to discuss the issues with your friends and family, because I feel that through discussion you'll really be able to deepen your understanding, test and refine your ideas, share your insights, and learn from others. So please treat these offerings as starting points or stepping stones rather than endpoints. Again, if you think this series might be for you, please subscribe, hit the like and notification buttons, and consider sharing with your friends and social networks. There are further links in the description below, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can make a contribution by purchasing one of the Simplicity Institute books, either in paperback or ebook. My ebooks are available on a pay-what-you-can basis, so you can get them for free if you need to, or you can make a donation, large or small, when purchasing an ebook, since the price can be edited as you choose. Your support will help me continue making these videos. Thanks again for choosing to explore these issues with me. I hope you find the Ecological Civilization series challenging, interesting, and useful, and I look forward to being your guide. The first substantive presentation is now available, and more will be uploaded soon.